don't know me, and the lovely part of this event is how many friends I have here, how many friends we have here. The people who've been fighting in the trenches with us every single day for the betterment of immigrant communities. I am Catalina Cruz. I'm the assembly member that represents Jackson Heights, Corona, and Elmhurst. I am a recovering lawyer. I don't practice anymore, but I absolutely love to use that part of my life to inform everything else I do. From human trafficking investigations with Krista to unaccompanied minors with the amazing Len, to fighting against a horrible, how should we call it? Because if I say his name, he might appear. A former president who went and wanted to round up every single one of our Muslim family members and wanted to stop everybody from coming in. And I saw so many of you go out and be at that airport every day next to Camille fighting. The reason you did that is because while we may talk a lot of crap about lawyers, we know that when you have a lawyer, a good one, a good lawyer fighting for you, an immigration issue, you have, what's that statistic, 70% more of a chance to actually be successful. And it's one of the reasons I happen to be the sponsor of the Universal Representation Bill, where hopefully one day every single New Yorker facing a removal proceeding will be able to step into that courtroom with a lawyer and not be afraid that they're going to leave their home behind. And it's organizations like yours, Camille, and can we get a shout out for your team and thank you for everything that they do. It's organizations like yours, and I see my NYSC family, and we're family, you're still a part even if you went somewhere else, Betsy. I see the family of people who are allies, because many of you don't know what it's like to face deportation. But you fought right along for me, for my people, to make sure that we had that chance. And I say we because for those of you who don't know me, I am the first Dreamer ever elected in the state of New York. I grew up undocumented. I've been here for, almost 30 years. And half of that time, I was undocumented. I was one of the forgotten ones. And I got lucky. I became a permanent resident, a citizen, and a lawyer. But it shouldn't be about luck. And look at what happened this week. It was the parliamentarian who said to our people, no. Because that's what happened. At the gist of that decision to not allow immigration to be a part of that budget, it was a decision to tell our people, no, you don't belong here. But every single one of you who's here, who is going to double whatever donation you made to Camille's organization, I'm just saying that again. Or if you can't double the amount that you donated today, you're going to write to 5 of your friends to make sure that they do. Because for every lawyer that steps into a courtroom with 300, 400, or 500 clients, because I know many of you are overworked, they will all have that opportunity to stay in this country. We had a panel discussion about, 2 weeks ago, about the Afghan refugee crisis, because it's a crisis. Don't let anybody tell you that it's anything else other than a crisis. We talked about the importance of getting folks over here to save their lives, because that's what it's about, but to also get them the services, and as part of those services is lawyers and it's organizations that know what they're doing. Because it's good to have good intentions, but if you don't understand what our community needs, if you don't understand the power of the law, if you don't understand that undocumented immigrants and immigrants are terrified of lawyers because for a long time they defrauded us, and that's actually the story of how Camille and I met. We were fighting against notarios and people who were defrauding immigrants. If you don't understand that part, you're not doing the job of actually understanding our community. This week, I had the honor of standing next to, I get to now say, Governor Hochul, no longer the other one, because that one might appear too. I got to stand with her while we announced the first of its kind in the country. Robin and I had to sit with a senior citizen. This is my chief of staff, who's amazing, by the way. We had to sit with a senior citizen, an undocumented senior citizen who's worked in this country as a house cleaner for 20 years. And Ida came in, and everything she owned in the basement where she lived was gone in 15 minutes. Her entire life was gone. And when she came to our office after that terrible hurricane, we had to tell her, FEMA does not care that you pay 20 years in taxes. FEMA is not going to help you. There's absolutely nothing we can do for you because the government, once again, has left our immigrant and documented community behind. And this week, we got to miraculously, in 3 weeks, as Betsy would say, Santa Catalina. Betsy actually nicknamed me that because one of the things that I do is I don't take no for an answer. If my community needs something, we're going to get it, and I don't care how we get it, just get it done. And we got $27 million to help the people. Oh, yeah, Lenny, $27 million. I asked for 5. I have to be honest with you. I was like, oh. I for the first time, I actually negotiated against myself. I was like, you know what? We will do a $5 million program, and they gave us $27 million to help our neighbors who are undocumented, did not qualify for FEMA, and lost everything during this disaster. And I tell this story because I see many familiar faces here that work in organizations that help our community. And there's been many times when Camille and I have cried. One time we cried in an ATM stall because this is hard. Fighting for people who can't vote means many politicians don't care. This is hard. But sometimes miracles happen. Sometimes people find $27 million to help people. And so I say this story because I don't want you to give up. I don't want Camille to give up. I don't want Lenny to give up. I don't want Betsy to give up. I want all of you to continue to fight for my people, for my community, for the forgotten New Yorkers. Because sometimes, even when you get to be the lucky one, you're still ignored in our country. You're still a second-class citizen who doesn't have the same rights. And so I tell that story because I want you to keep fighting, because if it isn't for people like you who decided to spend almost a month, I think over a month, at JFK, making sure that people could come in and had their rights protected, if it wasn't for organizations that fought against a not very popular issue of labor trafficking, because everyone thinks that when you talk of trafficking, you talk of sexual assault, and it's part of it. But you also have our farm workers in upstate New York who are sometimes trafficked simply because they don't have the power or that vote. And so I ask that you don't give up, because those are all the people that depend on you. Those are all the people whose lives you're going to change, simply because it's the right thing to do, even if it's not the politically, not acceptable, but the politically advantageous thing to do. Because you could just go out and help the same people that everybody else helps and get the money that everybody else gets. But if it wasn't for the friendly faces that I see here fighting every single day, for the person that I used to be, for how my mom and I used to be. My mom was a street vendor. My mom is now a Head Start teacher. I was undocumented and had to work 2 jobs just to get through CUNY, and I'm now an elected official. If it wasn't for people like you, I would have never had a chance. And so keep fighting against all odds, because we may have a Democratic president and administration right now, but how Democratic was I'm going to say it, the bullshit that happened this week of saying we cannot have immigration reform in this package. And so we all fought, and we got to continue to fight, and that also means the booth. When you get that chance to vote, because all of you can do what I couldn't do for 15 years. Vote for people that create the change, vote for people that have felt the pain, because el que más la sufre es el que más la lucha, and that means those who suffer the most will fight for it the hardest. And we need you as allies, because we can't do it all alone. And because I know how to read a room and I'm not like other politicians, I don't need a whole 15 minutes to convince you to do the following. Tonight, you're going to have fun, you're going to take a lot of pictures, And I hope when you go home, you don't forget about what you heard today and the people that you met today, and the fact that Camille is pushing to create change, the change that our city desperately needs and deserves. And we need people who understand those issues to continue to lead the way. And so get each other's cards, get all that information, but when you go home, yes, share that picture on Instagram. But ask your followers, your friends, your family members to donate 50, 75, $100 to the organization. Because you might think that's not a lot, but when you get 5 of your friends to do all that, that means one more legal clinic, one more person that gets a lawyer, one more person that gets a chance to stay in this country. And so continue to do that, and then do that some more. And so when the time comes for Christmas presents, think about Camille. Think about the fact that you could be helping an Afghan refugee stay in our country. Because brand new shoes are very pretty, but you know what's more beautiful? Liberty. And I'm going to leave you with that.